lesson plan. So it is like a material or a piece that you need to use for the discussion, okay? Or all throughout your class because you're doing a lesson plan for a purpose of having a class, no? So you are about to have a class. That's why we are making the lesson plan. So what is a literary piece? What is a literary piece, class? Hello? Hello? Are you here with me?
We are here, ma'am.
Okay, so a literary piece, any literary piece. For example, it could be a poem, a short story, pwede po siyang what? Pwede po siya song class, okay? So any literature, a piece of literature is a literary piece. So pwede siya poem, pwede short story, pwede po siya essay, pwede po siya song class. So it depends on you on what literary piece that you are going to use in your lesson plan. Kuha? Kakuha mo? Okay. Tingog
Yes,
Okay,
pod.
miss.
Ayaw ka bala ka dili na nako matimahuan kay online ni. Alright, sige. So in my end class, if you can see my screen right now, the literary piece that I chose in this lesson plan is from Emily Dickinson entitled A Narrow Fellow in the Grass. So are you familiar with this poem, class?
No.
no, ma'am.
No? Oh my
No, ma'am.
gosh. Okay. Anyway, so I'm not sure why you are not familiar, but this is like a very popular poem of Emily Dickinson, class. A Narrow Fellow in the Grass. So this is my material in my lesson plan. So in your end, you will also choose your own material. Please do not copy my material because there are thousands of literary piece that you can choose in your lesson plan. So please do not use the same material, no? Pangita ra muglain. All right, so let's move on to the first part of your lesson plan, which is the learning objectives. So I want you to follow this format, class. If you can see, akong gihatag ninyo before, naka-indicate dito na dapat portrait ang inyong lesson plan. But now, I wanted you to have it like in this format. Landscape ang inyong lesson plan kay murag mas kuan siya lang tawon for me, no? Mas formal for a moment. Kay murag na I need join. I will admit acceptance. Naa pa sila diri. Ga waiting. Oh, all right. And let me go back to my okay, here. So, going back, class, this is the first part of your lesson plan. So your name should be present on this side, class. Makita ninyo, 'di ba? Naa dira ang ako ang name. Not sure, is that left or right? It's facing here, so it's like left side of the bond paper. Yes, it's in the left side of the bond paper, no? So your name, for example, Catherine Kisel, and then below your name, your course, and then your major. So Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in English. So if here in my example, this is a lesson plan for my masters, no, before. So that's why I had there a master of arts in English. So in your end, inyuha rang Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in English. After that, you need to choose a level. So what level will you prefer, no, as your student na inyuhang handulan kunuhay? So in my end, I choose here the first year college. But since you are a secondary major class, I wanted you to choose a level like between mag-start man na grade 7, no? So grade 7 to 10. Pwede po ninyo i-appeal na ang senior high if you wanted a grade 11 or grade 12 student. So it's up to you. Again, basta secondary ang level na inyuhang butang sa inyuhang lesson plan. So it's up to you between grade 7 to 12 ba. Kamuray bahala. So here, before you write your learning objectives, which is the first part of the lesson plan, I wanted you to write the goal. So the goal, it's not the same with the learning objectives class. Okay, what is the difference between the goal and the learning objectives? Unsay kalahian sa duha? Anybody? Hala, Ginoo. People of the Philippines, are you there? Hilo man kaayo. What is the difference between learning objectives and the goal? So the goal class, it's like your overall outcome, no? At the end of the lesson. So the students to accomplish at the end of the lesson? So when you talk about objectives class, the these are the objectives that will tell, no, that will tell the students what are they are going to do during, in the beginning, in the middle, and in the end part of their, of your discussion. So again, ang objectives ana class, the things, the activities that the students are going to accomplish. Lahi na siya sa goal. Ang goal, unsay purpose nimo? Why do you want this lesson to be discussed with your students? So in my end class, if you can see my goal is to let the student realize the complex interaction between humans and the natural world while understanding the poem. Okay? So mo'y akong ganahan nga makabot or ma-learn sa akong mga bata at the end of the lesson. So again, that is my overall goal or outcome. So mauna siya ibutang ninyo sa pinakauna class. Take note that I am using the narrow fellow in the grass, no? So if you like read the poem class, you will understand nganong ingon ani ang ako ang goal. Nganong ga-try ko og pa-realize sa students sa interaction between humans and the natural world. Because the poem itself class, it talks about what is the interaction between the human and the natural world. Mao na siya ako ang goal. Ingon ana ni match ni siya or ni connect ni siya sa message sa poem na akong gipili. So in your input class, you will do the same thing. So if you choose one literary piece, make sure nga inyuhang goal mo igo pod sa unsay message sa inyuhang literary piece. Okay? Ingon ana. So for you to kuan dili mo kaayo maglibog-libog, no? Ayaw na lang ninyo i-separate ang terminal o enabling objectives kay feel nako dili na mo eskwela next year. Okay? So dili na lang nakto na siya i-separate. We'll just have the learning objective as one. So I wanted you to write there in the learning objectives og unsay mga activities nga buhaton sa inyong bata. So if you can see here class, no, for example, students will actively participate to the video they have watched by answering the given questions. So there, makita ninyo class na my objectives, it's actually telling what are the activities that the students are going to perform, no, all throughout the discussion. So dili mo magbutang dira sa objectives ug wala na siya sa inyong activity. That means ug unsay na as objectives, mao na siya gi-perform sa inyong bata during the discussion. Kuha na ninyo class?
Yes,
Yes,
miss.
miss.
Okay. So that's my example is actually detailed. Bisan pag dili nako siya i-discuss, no, you can understand it in your end, but like I'm doing this para pod makasabot jud mo for you to understand further, no, what is this lesson plan all about, ug how will you do it in your end. Okay, sige. So again, kana akong objectives dira gatsulti ra nas mga activities sa bata will arouse their interest in reading the poem, interpret their understanding, give personal reactions, creatively compose a song that contains alliteration, and so on. There. Now, you are not going to use any literary piece without a language focus. Unsa maning language focus class? When you talk about language focus class, what grammar are you going to apply in your lesson? So, if you are using The Necklace by Guy de Maupassant, you can what you need to focus on one language focus. For example, your language focus is action words, ingon ana lang. So dapat ang inyuhang literary piece class mo think mo og usa ka grammar topic or grammar subject na magamit nimo sa imuhang literary piece. Okay, so in my end manggod class, ang narrow fellow in the grass, while I'm reading the poem, no, I can see that there are a lot of alliteration words found on this text. That's why ang akong gilanguage focus, gidiscuss na ko sa bata, what is alliteration by using the material of a narrow fellow in the grass. Okay? Ingon ana siya. So dapat dili ra mo pataka pod og pili sa literary piece. Why? You need to think og naabay mag-grammar lesson nga ma-apply ana sa imuhang discussion. So, think of a literary piece nga naa dyoy grammar lesson class. Pwede ka mo focus og nouns, adjectives, prepositions, mga parts of speech or figure of speech like using personification, simile, metaphor, ingon ana, usara ka language focus as long as that will be found in your literary piece. Okay? So again, di na siya mawala. Kung walay language focus, walay purpose ang inyuhang lesson. It is not a lesson plan at all. Okay. So here, let's move on to the other part of your lesson plan. So again, nalimot ra ko butang grade Newman numerical, like naana siya dapat ko andiri, no? 1 ni siya diri. Ako sa ma-edit pa ni dari, or I cannot do the edit here because this is like a PDF. Oh, okay. Oo, so dapat diri class na ani siya Newman numerical, caps lock, like 1 kay mo na siya pinakauna ana. Okay? So, yun na dapat siya. Di ko kabalo mo save. Bahala na siya. Basta, again, class, this one, nani siya numerical number 1, learning objectives. Now, let's move on to the second part of the lesson plan. This is the learning content class. Okay. So, let's move here. Okay, so what is the learning content? So the learning content class, it is not the discussion of the topic, no? Dili ni diri nga part nga magpa-define ka what is alliteration. No. In the learning content class, this is where you are going to think of an activity or a motivation that will lead to the students to your topic or to the text that they are going to analyze, no, during that discussion. So if you can see here, class, ani, in my learning content, so there are three types of reading class. Natay gitawag og pre-reading, while reading, og post-reading. Okay? So sa pre-reading class, diri na bilong ang atong motivational activity or the introductory activity. So this is like setting the atmosphere of your students to lead to the topic of of your lesson, no? So here, what is my motivation? So your learning content class, it composed of two parts. If makita ninyo class, gi-divide na siya og duha ka parts. Ang una nga part na adira ang activity, the other parts is the annotation. Dapat center ni siya. So kamo na ibahala na i-center yan niyo dito. Dili ko kabalo unsa ni siya pag-save kay PDF. Okay, so there. So dapat center ang annotation class. So what is annotation, ma'am? Ang annotation, ingon ani siya, inyo siyang i-interpret or i-paraphrase ninyo class into third person point of view. Here, mubalik ko sa motivation ha. Teacher will play a video about a friend who is betraying his own best friend. Dayon, sa annotation, imo na siyang iparaphrase into third person point of view class. Students will watch the video, so dire sa side ang action sa teacher. In the other side, in the annotation side, the student's action. Okay? Kuha ninyo. So, ang is this right or left side? The pre-reading activities, these are the what? The actions of the teacher, or what are the things that the teachers are going to do. In the annotation side, this is where are the actions or the things where the students what are the students are going to perform. Okay? So makita na ninyo dira class, students will watch the video and reflect on the video based on their personal experiences. Ana na siya, okay? Teacher's activity, students activity under annotation. Okay. So mauna siya nga side, guided questions. What are the questions that I'm going to ask after the students watch the video? Here are the following questions found in the guide questions. So ingon ani akong activity no. So take note class, akong activity, it's about betraying, I mean akong video, it's about betraying his own best friend. Why? Because the poem of a narrow fellow in the grass class, it's about like there's a snakes and then murag it's about betrayal class. Murag wala siya, murag na trust issue ba, something like that. So that's why ang ako ang video nga gi-present ani, it is also connected to my literary piece which is talking about betrayal class. That's why nag-present ko nila og video nga ni betray siya in his own best friend. So ingon ana, your motivation will lead the students to your literary piece. You cannot include any kind of activity there that is not connected or relevant to your chosen piece. So, dapat connected siya class. That is the purpose of the pre-reading activities. Did you understand? Buhi pa
Yes.
ba
Yes.
ang tanan? Okay. So, dili na nako na siya ibinagsa, no? So, class, take note in your pre-reading activities, it is not necessary na daghan kaayo no. In my end usa ra siya kabuok kay usually ang pre-reading class to motivate lang the students no, or to lead the students og unsa joy inyuhang i-discuss. So dili na siya necessary nga daghan, it's only one class. So after that, after the instruction unsay buhaton sa teacher o sa student, you will proceed to the presentation. So the teacher will ask the students what they've noticed with the lines used by the characters in the video. So this is still about the video that I presented during the motivation. So here is the question. So inyo jung ibutang ang question. What is the question that you're going to ask to your students, no? What did you notice on the lines used during the conversation between the characters in the video? Count of 1 to 5 in each group. Write your observation in a piece of Manila paper and present it to the class. So here, so this was like the instruction of the teacher. And again, on the other side is the performance or the things that the students are going to perform. So if you can see here, class, students able to notice the lines used by the characters in the video contains alliteration. Asking students what they notice with the words used by the characters in the video is one way of checking their attentiveness during the presentation. So in annotation class, it is not just telling what are the students going to do, but also telling what are the things that they are able to achieve in the activity that they had performed. Okay? So again, it is not just telling og unsa ang gibuhat nila, but also telling what are the things that they are able to achieve at the end of the activity. So you need to include that in the annotation. No. Moreover, this will lead to the language focus of the lesson, which is the alliteration. So hopefully you understand that class. Sige, let me, by the way, do you have questions? Clarifications? You raise it now para, okay, good. Para wala na confusion, no? Okay, sige. Now, let's move here. So, dali ra siya, class. If you can see, humana dayon ta sa second part na ni siya. And take note, upat ra ka part ang lesson plan, no? So, ang first part, again, going back, learning objectives. Ikaduhang part, ang learning content. So, hapit na tamahuman. We have the learning, we still have the learning experiences and the assessment of learning. Two parts na lang, okay? So, let's move now here in the learning experiences. So earlier, 'di ba, I said that we have three types of reading. We have the pre-reading, which is the motivational activity, and we have the while reading. Why do we call this the while reading activity? Because this is where halaluoy kaayo daghan na di ay gahulat sa participants. Wala na admit sa ospital. Wait sa wala na ko na accept class. One moment. They are waiting here in the koan. Asa
Malalo.
man how to like Usara di ay si Rick Mara.
Go,
Okay,
Rick
sige.
Moore.
Okay, so anyway, hopefully no na ay naka-screen record para katong wala ka attend, they can just view in their end. Okay, sige. Let's go back. So again, in the part 2 of your lesson plan, we have the learning experiences here, class. So this is the while reading activity. And please take note that one of my instructions, no, your lesson plan must include or able to apply the different branches of linguistics. So kung mobalik ta sa ato ang second part of the lesson plan, which is the learning content class, take note that there is already an application of the branches of linguistic here. Who can tell me what branch of linguistic that we are a that we are able to apply in the first, in the learning content of the lesson plan class? Unsa nga branch sa linguistic ang na-apply nato dire? Te by just understanding the given activities class, 'di ba? Ang first activity is to let the student watch the video and then answer some questions. And then the class presentation, they are going to what? Write their observation in a piece of Manila paper and present it to the class. So what is the skill? The presentation of the video and this also improves their observation and listening skills. We are already dealing the two branches of phonology class. The first one is unsa class? They are already presenting class. Take note, they're sharing their answers already in the front of the class. They are already what? And I'm asking also them to write. We have already the sentence construction their class. Oh, ingon ana lang siya. Your activity must develop the students, no? Not just in one branch of linguistic but in different branches of linguistic class. So in this activity class, ayaw kalimot that I ask them to write, no? I-highlight na ko na write your observation. So in that case, class, that means I'm asking them to construct a sentence. So in other words, class, implicitly, I am applying already the branches of linguistic. Dili siya explicit, no, na application. You cannot notice like easily. But it's already there because I'm asking them to write. That is sentence construction, which is under syntax. Now, present it to the class. It is already talking. They are already speaking. We are now dealing phonology in that case, no? As they talk, they can develop their speaking skills. So again, implicitly, you are going to apply the branches of linguistics in your activities. So it's up to you og asa ninyo ibutang. Pwede siya sa tanan, pwede siya sa motivational, pwede po siya dito sa learning experiences, pwede po sa learning content. So again, ingon ana lang siya, no, I do not advise you nga kanang obvious gid kaayo nga ga use gid sila sa branches sa linguistic. For example, you will pick out some words from the poem or from the excerpt or from the literary piece na inyong gipili, and then you will ask them to identify the free and the bound morphemes, no? of the words na imuhang gi-pick out dito sa text. That's very obvious na you were dealing with morphology, right? So dili ko ganahag ingon ana na activity class. I want you to apply the branches of linguistic implicitly, not explicitly on your lesson plan. Kuha ta?
Yes,
Yes,
miss.
Okay,
miss.
so ingon ana ha, please, ana lang. All right, so going back, let's move on to the second part. I mean, we're done with the second part. Third na ni siya dapat. This is number 3. Ako lang i-edit dere. So ikatulo na ni siya. Learning experiences. So i-edit lang na ninyo class no, wala na nako ni na-edit. So that's third, learning experiences. So here learning experiences, we have the while reading activities. So in the learning experiences class, this is where you're going to give or to introduce the text to your students. So diri na gid nato gamiton ang text, no? So my activity here, the teacher will present the whole poem to the class. So if you can see, gi-present na nako ang literary piece. Again, in the learning experiences, diha i-present ang inyuhang literary piece sa student, but in a creative way. So dili lang pod nga inyo lang, the teacher will project or will present or will write it on the board, the literary piece for the students to read. Dili ko ganahag ingon ana, no? I want you to present the literary piece in a creative way. So in my end class, what I did here, I asked the students to play the game called Touch Go Reading. Okay? So gipaagi nako siya game ang akong pag-present sa text to my student. I will just tap student's shoulder whenever it's his or her turn to read the lines. Please listen carefully while your classmate is reading, because if you cannot follow, there would be a corresponding consequence. Okay? So ingon ana lang siya. So in the side of the students, students are now introduced in the poem A Narrow Fellow on the Grass. Letting students play touch go reading is a way of making students actively involved in reading the poem. Students will participate attentively in reading the poem because of the consequences. Okay? So mura ra gyud siya ninyong i-paraphrase og unsay buhaton sa inyong students during the activity. So in this part class, when you introduce the text, your goal is not just for the students to read lang, no? But also for the students, oh my God, my background is so noisy. Bahala siya daya. So again, your purpose here is not just for them to read the text, but also to understand the text. So you also going to provide an individual activity. So the teacher will conduct unlocking of the difficult words. So if you can see now in my activity class, I am dealing with words now. So in other words, at the same time, I am now working on morphology, the other branch of linguistics, right? So difficult words. I'm asking the student to unlock difficult words. So here, I will give you 5 minutes to brainstorm and list those difficult words that you have encountered in the poem. So after that, we will discuss the list of the words which you found trouble with, comprehending the whole poem. So there, and then annotation again, class. Students will be able to understand the difficult words in the poem. Unlocking the difficult words with the poem helps students on understanding the whole poem or the complete thought of the poem. So there. So it also assures that all the words that they find difficult are being addressed. So again, just like paraphrase what are the students going to achieve and to do during the activity. So again, this part is already using one branch of linguistic, and that is morphology. Okay, next. So after that class, so they're able to read the poem na, they're able to unlock difficult words in the poem. You need to have a comprehension. So regardless of the type of the text class, whether song na siya, whether short story ba na siya, or essay ba na inyong gipili class, kinahanglan gud tang na ay comprehension check, no? It is very important to check the comprehension of your student, because they might not understand what is the poem or what is the text all about. So here are the question. No, the teacher will share the lines found in the poem which denote alliteration. Then give a follow-up question. So dira, mo check tag comprehension. So in the learning experiences class, please take note also. This is the part where you are going to what? Discuss already the language focus. Okay? So if you can see here, I'll move in the comprehension question, I already introduced the alliteration or the language focus of my lesson class. So diri na ninyo. For example, your language focus is like simile. So murag inana na mo. The teacher will share the lines found in the poem which denote the use of simile. Inana, just for example lang na simile inyuhang language focus, no? And then give a follow-up question. So the following are the lines which contains alliteration. So kamo nay bahala, no? In my end manggod my language focus is alliteration. So that's why I just pick some parts or some lines in the poem class that contained alliteration. So mao ni siya, a spotted shaft, a floor too cool for corn, and so on. So muna siya yung mga words, or these are the lines in the poem that contains alliteration. So there, you introduce the language focus, okay? So here, annotation, students are now introduced to some of the lines in the poem that denotes alliteration. Students able to understand what is alliteration through the lines provided. There. Okay. So ingon ana lang siya. And then take note that after you introduce the language focus, you need to ask them with the follow-up questions, no, for the comprehension check. So on the lines that I have provided, what do you think is alliteration? So this is where you're going to define the alliteration to your student class. If you can see class, ako or siyang gi-enclose o like parentheses, no? Because the discussion dito naman na siya sa actual. So kaniya to guide, I mean, this is like an outline lang of what we are going to do during the discussion. So gi-enclose lang na akong parentheses ang definition sa alliteration. There. And then okay, so I want you to take note, class, that in the while reading activity class, there is three parts. I mean, four parts, no? We have the reading activity, we have the individual activity, we have the comprehension question, and we also have the group activity. So after the individual activity, naadyo na siya group activity class because not all students will excel or can give you like a perfect score during the individual activity. That's why we need the backup activity, which is the group activity class. So in that case, you'll have a collaborative learning at the same time, no? All of the students can share, can apply, can present, no? Their understanding on your lesson. So here on the same group, in my example here, I asked them to like brainstorm and then share their interpretation. What else? And then each group will be provided a piece of short bond paper, and you need to do this within 5 minutes. After that, choose one representative to discuss your work in the class. So now we're asking the students to do the talking. So this is another, no, another way of what dealing with the other branches of linguistic, which is phonology again. So here annotation na lang pud na siya, class, of what they are going to do and what are they going to achieve. And now let's move. So ayaw lang kalimot, class, na ang learning experiences ninyo upat iyahang parts. We have the reading activity, the individual activity, the comprehension question, and under comprehension question, diri ninyo i-introduce ang language focus. This is where you're going to define the grammar lesson na inyuhang i-tackle in your literary piece. Okay? And then here the group activity. Lastly, this is the last part of your lesson plan. We have the assessment of learning. Recitation, students will be asked to give. So the assessment of learning, class, this is under post reading activity. That means humana na ang ilahang reading activity class. This is like an evaluation, no, to their understanding during the reading activities. So here, students will ask to give their personal recitation regarding the poem. Teacher will ask the students to compose a song that contains alliteration. So composing, take note, this is already asking students to write, no? They are already constructing. They are already writing sentences. So again, mubalik jud siya sa grammar, no? Sentence construction mo sulod pud ang words formation, which is the morphology, and also the pragmatics class, because when you write a song you need to think of a context, di ba? You need to think of a context, and that is pragmatics. So if you will really analyze class, the activity is not explicitly, no, showing the different branches of linguistic, but if you analyze and yes, analyze the activities class, they are really applying the different branches of linguistics. So my final activity here is mao ni siya class. Ang individual activity nila, which is to compose a song that contains alliteration. So make sure that your assessment class ma-apply jud ang lesson, ang language focus. So dili pud mo dira magpa-assessment lang og walay application sa language focus. So my language focus is alliteration. So I'm asking them to write a song with alliteration para ma-apply ang language focus nato, because that's the purpose of our lesson plan, to teach one grammar focus or to teach one language focus. Okay? So there. All right, so the last part class under the assessment of learning, I wanted you to attach the material na inyong gigamit, no, during your lesson. Okay, so here class, so unsaon man na pag-attach ang material? So inyo na siyang i-labeled class as Appendix 1 and Appendix 2. So in my end here, my material 1 or my first, no, material is of course is our literary piece class. So there, naadara gi-attach nako. And then my Appendix 2, 'di ba? If you notice earlier class, I have an activity to unlock the difficult words. So these are the words, no, that are found and unlocked by my students. So mo na siya, and then gibutangan na pud nako og meaning. And then in my Appendix 3 class, here is like my rubrics. So take note, if inyong activity class magpa-perform ba mo or magpa-compose, magpa-ask pa mo to write an essay, that should be with a rubrics class, no? Because you need to what? You need to inform the students on how are they going, I mean, how are you going to grade them. So in my end, since I asked them to compose a song, here is my rubrics, no, in the composition of the song. So ingon ana lang, attach the rubrics in your appendix, the literary piece, and other material na inyong gigamit all throughout your discussion. So that's that's the last part of your lesson plan. Okay, sige. If you have clarifications now, questions,